Hey, I'm back. We are up in Downieville. We are going to shuttle the Downieville Downhill with Big Boulder Adventures. All right, we are off on the Downieville Downhill. Have not done it in a very long time. Not done it on my Ritmo, so it's been 5 years at least, and I'm very excited. So not only is this the first time I've ridden it on a Ritmo, which I'm really excited about, I just got my bike back from being serviced. Got the suspension service and cleaned out the free hub because having some issues with it, and brakes bled, sealant in. So, tip-top shape. Oh, tree down. Crazy to think the first time or two, definitely the first time, maybe the first couple times, did Downieville did not have a dropper post, and that is just unthinkable to me right now. All right, on to Butcher Ranch. We were just on Sunrise. We're not till the real bumpy part yet, but one thing I remember about the downhill is that there's a part of Butcher Ranch where hands, feet, and legs get so tired from the bumpy downhill that it starts begging for an uphill, which quite rarely happens. But hopefully have less of that feeling with the ridden than I did with my smuggler. The last time I did this trail was on my 2016 Transition Smuggler, which has since been redesigned, but the era I have is 115, 130, which is obviously enough travel, but not as smooth as this one. Like, this stretch is narrower than I remember it, but I think I actually just have wider bars. The upper part of Butcher and Sunrise reminds me of the Alpine Trail in Oak Ridge. You've heard of that. But also, if you've never done the Downieville Downhill, it is a classic for a reason. I feel like some of the old classics maybe don't hold up to modern trail building, but man, this one does. mentioned earlier that needed some work done on my bike. Had issue with the free hub not engaging, and it just was really time for a tune-up, and I already had this trip booked, and Paco's in Truckee made it happen. They got all together for me. It's great. They always do a great job. Don't quite have my bike legs under me. I've not done as much mountain biking in the spring as often do. Doing more gravel rides and doing more running, which is not usually common, but I'm not feeling terrible yet. Although I'll probably jinx myself. I do not have my downhill legs or hands yet, but was able to snag a campsite and figured going early would be a little better weather-wise. It's only a high of 90 today. And the trail is less beat up, but yeah, not in the best bike shape yet. Doing more sitting on the flat to slightly downhill parts to try and save my legs a bit. Wow, the trail is in great shape. Are we getting to the rocky part? I think we are. So the bigger travel bike is obviously nice for the bigger hits, but it really makes a difference on the like rocky pedally sections or just like the long rock gardens. I'm really hoping it'll help reduce fatigue overall compared to my old bike. Okay, we're not quite to the rocky section yet. It's getting rockier. There's famous Downieville shark fins. Slate or shale, I don't remember which one, but they can be real tire killers. Although tubeless and tire technology has gotten so much better that I think it's less of a worry. The first time we did Downieville, we'd read so many horror stories of people flatting out like 5 times. I think we each brought 3 tubes, and we weren't running tubeless yet at this point, or at least I wasn't. But still managed to not flat at all. Am I gonna jinx myself here? I've never flatted at Downieville, neither has Grayson. But we also don't underfill the tires. We leave ours a little more filled than some people like. That gorge I've never gotten before. It took me 3 times, but got on the 3rd. Decided I did not get the uphill part. It's like, no way. But yeah, the slacker head tube angle really makes a difference on that one compared to my old bike, and just more confidence in the suspension. Yeah, the slack head tube angle, I feel like makes even more of a difference on steep stuff like that than the better suspension. But oh man, I can already tell this feels better. That one.
I made a mistake. Super loose.
Yeah. I'll let you get ahead of me in a bit. Now this is the rocky part. Yep, I can confidently say that section was 400% more fun on this bike than my smuggler. Like, I had to walk a few more features on my smuggler, and I picked around a lot more rather than just riding. And yeah, definitely more fun on this bike. Obviously, the most important thing about a bike is that you're having fun on it. But it's one of the reasons I feel like so I just don't get the train of thought of big bikes smooth everything out too much. Because to me, on a bigger bike, I go faster and more confident, and that is more fun. But everyone likes what they like. I feel like this seems more gravelly than I remember. Maybe I'm thinking of a different section, but I remember being more forest litter than gravel, but I guess I could be thinking of a different section. I don't know if this is the Yuba or the Downy, because they're both in the area. I'm sure Grayson knows. I'll ask him. Roots are worse than rocks. Both these tires still have some life in them. But one fun project that I'm in the middle of, shouldn't be a very long project, but ended up having to take a wheel into the shop for a new spoke. But anyway, decided that my 2016 Smuggler that I've been talking about a lot is kind of one of the original downcountry bikes before downcountry was a genre. And I had it really set up for like beefier tires just because of the type of stuff we normally ride around here. So like kind of over bike it for I'm starting to say, so my Smuggler is set up with like beefier tires for the type of riding that we do overall, and it's great. But you know, now I have this bike and the Smuggler's just been sitting, so the idea to put some faster rolling tires on it and really set it up as a downcountry bike for the more smooth cross-country style stuff that we do occasionally, like the stuff out at Royal Gorge, or just more cross-country style riding. And so while this bike is in the shop, we're like, oh great, perfect time to do that. And bought a tire, and we had one. Now I'm totally blanking what we putting on it. I'll ask Grayson, he will remember. He's the tire expert. Anyway, got one on, then we went to put the other one on and it had a broken spoke. So went back to the bike shop, dropped that off, and then I had no mountain bike last week, and I had to ride a gravel bike. A racing mountain bike. Very rude. But now I've got this bike back, the wheels fixed, we're gonna get the tire on, and then we'll have a downcountry bike and an all-rounder. Then we were in Switzerland last September and went to Verbier and rented bikes there. And you know, I was happy with my Ritmo as an all-rounder, but I had a tall boy, which is generally like the kind I tend to like to ride mid-travel but capable 29ers. Grayson got a Nomad, and we were doing downhill laps with like the gondola and the ski lifts, and Grace and I are close enough in size that we can switch for like a run. And I rode his Nomad, and now I really want a long travel bullet. Not that like we ride park or big stuff that often. Oh fuck. Pedal struck a root, shot me into the tree. But anyway, rode his Nomad and really liked that. I joke that get that and become a park rat. Oh yeah, this part. Thought you were done with the rocks, but you're not. All right. Just Grayson, and he thinks it might be Butcher Creek, which feeds into the Downey, which then goes into the North Yuba. All right, we did the one real climb, and man, it was so much worse than I remembered it. It's probably not all that much in the grand scheme of things, but after that much downhill, it felt miserable. So now we are on Third Divide. This is kind of the fast flowy section from the woods, or through the woods if I remember correctly. Oh yeah, must be fast at braking bumps. So one of the things they did on my bike was a brake bleed this time, and it's like Grayson, like, the brakes feel great now, but I definitely must have needed it for a while because I definitely grabbed the brakes too hard, thinking I needed to grab that hard to brake. But now that they're in blood, they don't need that much. No OTB, but a couple stopped short. The very first time I did Downieville, like those little root bits were nerve-wracking. But it is nice to see how far I've come. The worst part about that climb is that it's happened every single time I've done it. These gnats start following you at the river and they just cloud around your face. I heard somewhere that they're attracted to the carbon dioxide you're exhaling. I don't know if that's true, but they just cloud around your face and they do not disperse the whole time you're climbing. And they're not like mosquitoes that are trying to bite you. They're just like in your line of vision. And you can't swat them away because you're biking, and they just come back, and it's stay there until you get to the downhill part. It's just like one extra thing while you're dealing with a stout climb. And there are a couple false summits on the climb too. One of the reasons we were gravel biking more, or gravel / road, is Grayson did the Tour de Manure a couple weeks ago. It was this like, he did the 40-mile road loop in Sierra Valley. Seems like a cool road ride. But anyway, he's probably got more bike miles in than typical this early in the season for us. But as we got to the top, we were both panting. Road miles don't transfer to that. Which is also true of running miles and Peloton miles. I did a lot of Pelotoning this winter, which definitely helps. Better than nothing, but we got an actual Peloton this year, which was really exciting. Been wanting one and telling myself, you know, that the bike on the trainer is fine, and it was, but Grayson for the first time was interested in an actual Peloton to train for the Tour de Manure over the winter. And the second he was like, oh, I think maybe I want a Peloton, and I saw that they have some refurbed deals for Black Friday, whipped out my credit card and bought that in like 1 second. So we had a real Peloton. So like put a lot of miles on, like more, just because it's so easy to ride and it's so nice. But one thing that I found is, you know, my legs and cardio were in good shape, but the real Peloton stationary bike is a lot easier to ride than a road bike on the trainer. So my like supporting muscles didn't get as strong, like my core and back and arms. And so when we were first on the real bikes this spring, my legs and lungs felt like they could go forever, but I was getting really like tired back muscles and my arms from holding me up. But yeah, this is the fun. This must be what I was thinking of when I was thinking that section of Butcher was gravelly, or I guess I was ahead of myself. This is what I was thinking of the fast flowy stuff. This, yeah, reminds me a lot of Alpine too. A little bit of Mendocino, but wrong kinds of trees. But yeah, the other reason this really makes me think of Alpine is because of how, oh, too hard of a gear. You start up in like the conifer forest. It's all cool and dark, and then you drop and drop and drop into the oak woodlands. Do that here as well. Yeah, I can't go 5 years without riding this trail again. That's, I don't know why. I guess with the dog it made things harder, but we ended up just boarding her this weekend because it was too hot for her even in the van. But yeah. Yeah, since it's been so long since I've ridden this, I had really been like, oh, maybe my favorite trail overall is Stanford Rock or the Tyrolean Downhill. But nope, this is my favorite trail. So the other trend I've hopped on recently is high carb for working out. Especially since I've been doing more running. It's really easier to shove food in while I'm running. So I jumped on the high carb train, especially in running, and God, it's amazing what actually fueling does. But just recently got like the high carb liquids. I've been, especially running, just eating a lot and not hitting. So anyway, I was not hitting my carb goals with a mix of regular tailwind and food. So tried out the tailwind ultra high carb. I've tested it a few times in a run and an easy bike, and my stomach actually handled it really well. I think issue before was like trying to hit those calorie and carb targets with the regular tailwind was just so much volume of liquid and food that it was hard on my stomach, and this, knock on wood, seems to work pretty well. We are on First Divide. This is the section that has some techie stuff and high consequences if you fall off and you're tired. The very first time I did Downieville, I bonked hard, and I got so mad that I almost threw my bike off the side. And then once I almost fainted and fell off the side. So even though it is downhill, it is a workout and you need to eat. That's not the only time I have bonked really hardcore, but it is the main inspiration and why I said in my wedding vows that anytime we're on a bike ride and Grayson told me to eat, that I would do it. I'm trying to remember, I think if this is the first time I've done Downieville on clipless instead of flats. I may have done it one of the first times, might have been part of the problem. I don't remember actually, but it's definitely the first time in a long time I've done it on flats or on clipless, if not the first time. I have now, well, I mean for years now, but I've got pedals that are kind of a hybrid. They're not like one-sided, but they have a pretty big platform while also having flats, or while also having clips, and then or cleats, and then dusty. And then I have shoes that have a big flat sole with some sticky rubber. For years I had 510 Kestrels, but they like the heels were never that comfortable, and they're always so stiff to get on and off. They drove me crazy to get on and off. Like once they're on, I loved them, but they changed the design. I actually had bought old ones because I liked them so much, but now the design has changed, so I went with some Ride Concept ones that are pretty similar. They're not as stiff overall, so they're definitely more comfortable just to wear around and if I'm like hike biking, but they're a little less sturdy. Gosh, pedaling completely. Let me see all the way down. There we go. Stuff like this, when it's a little bit bumpy and there's kind of a sketchy drop off, I personally like to have my seat down 1 inch. It's not ultimate efficiency, but I feel less sketched out. Oh yeah, this is a nut. Yeah, I mean, I think I've been in better shape doing this. Like when we've done it later in the summer, I've been riding more. But between the bike and just being a better rider than the last time I've done it, just knock on wood, the best I've felt this far along. And also probably actually took in somewhat close to enough calories. This is the section where I fainted, browned out. It wasn't like a full-on faint, and I didn't fall off my bike, it stopped. Grayson insists it was a spot that was cliffier than this, and I almost fell off the cliff. But I think I fell towards the wall. Oh yeah, shoot. Almost done, and then there's some more climbing where it's hot. Some hot climbing. This last part of First Divide reminds me a lot of Auburn, like the Confluence Trail, where it's not too techy, but there's a big cliff drop and a beautiful turquoise river below you and oak trees, and it's too hot. We are almost done with the trail. And there's a always hot ride into town. And never run the stop signs in Downieville. All right, the best part of many great parts of the Downieville Downhill is it ends at the Downey River, and you can just immediately jump in. Oh, this feels amazing. Oh yeah, this is exactly what I needed.